All right. I think I'm live now. Should be good. So, what's up? How's it going, everyone? I am... Sorry, I'm flustered now. None of my software was working. None of this was agreeing with me here this evening, but we're up and running now. So, how is everyone going? Super TA, Andy's Lawn Care and Outdoor Adventures, Backwoods Lawn Care, everybody. How are we all doing this evening? Lawn Father, Andy, how's it going, my guy? Man, we're good. So, actually, unlike last week, I've actually done a couple things this week. Have a couple stories to tell. The video quality is not going to be great. I'm down in the basement setup. I use kind of a bootlegged thing going through my phone, and the HD setting on that software doesn't really like working. So this is, I don't know, it's like 420p or something, and it's the best we got. But this week had a lot happen. So went through, let's see, got a regular mow with the Gravely, got everything cut up, looking nice. Thank you on liking the blue lighting. I have these Nova Stella lights that I had outside lighting up the front of my house and my trees, but they'd all be in the way if I was mowing, so I got them inside. So I was like, let's see if we can get those set up. So, as I was saying, this week, got a cut with the Gravely, then decided I was going to be brave and do a valve adjustment. For whatever reason, what's going on, Vince? Thank you for stopping by. For whatever reason, the set screw on one of the valves won't hold. So basically the mower ran for a little while, and as that screw walked itself out, eventually the valve, the pin eventually freed itself, which valve couldn't close, no compression, and the mower killed itself. So I had a nice little 48-inch commercial hydro lawn ornament for a couple of days. Went out, got it kind of all set back together, which I was very pleased with myself. Getting that type of work done for me is a huge leap. But got it to fire up again, ran it, got another 4 or 5 stripes before it started to kind of miss again. So I'm assuming it's walked its way back out. Got it to the garage before it became Lawn Ornament version 2. And we'll await the next time I can maybe get some, actually, the Lawn Father in here. Appreciate the suggestions. Going to try to see if I can get some Loctite on that set screw so that it will stay and stop backing out. And hopefully that mower will continue to serve me before I have to buy a new one for an astronomical amount of money. Those things are a ton of money new, and I would rather not make that purchase if I don't have to. Also, in bigger news and probably more exciting for anyone following along to the channel, I took the Jacobsen down to 0.2 of an inch, cut the green, then drove that down to a dealer in Chicago, which is like 2 hours from my house. It was the closest place I can find that would return my call, that would service Jacobsen greens mowers. So I got that dropped off there. Can't wait to find out what that bill is going to be. It's not going to be cheap. What's up, Lawn Maverick? Appreciate it. Appreciate the kind words. Yeah, I am blessed that I don't think I've ever had a POA issue. Super excited about that because that doesn't look fun from anybody that has it, and I'm very much glad. I got a bunch of other issues, but I got 99 problems, with POA ain't one. Yes, Vince, I did. So dropped off, took me down towards the greater Chicago area, dropped that off. Some amount of time and dollars later, I'll get the Jacobsen back, hopefully running as new. Yeah, whatever. I'm getting a warning, something from YouTube Studio here. So if anything's goofy, guys, let me know and I'll try to fix it. But where was I? So dropped that off, and then that was not too far from where George at Princess Cut Lawn Care works, where he lives. So I'd been talking to him just casually here and there, and he had brought up at one point that he was looking to get rid of that. It's too big for his for the little space that he uses it on, too much equipment for him. So I asked him what he was going to be selling it for, and it was a very, very reasonable price. So I dropped off my Jacobsen Greens King at the dealer to get serviced, and I won't even have to miss a beat picked up his George's Greensmaster 1000, brought it home, and I'm now 2 cuts in with that. Biggest differences between the two: one, George's Greensmaster is probably 15 years older at least than my Jacobsen, and in a million times better shape. That man takes care of his equipment. Shout out to George. It's incredible. But 11 blade reel versus the 8 blade reel in the Jacobsen took her down to 0.175, which I think in most math 3/16 is 0.18 something. So we're getting real low on the putting green, and actually the thumbnail image would have been what we had going on at that cut height, and was able to roll a couple putts on there. And I'm hopeful that as it fills in, okay, thanks, Backwoods. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Oh, okay. I think that's just the quality limitations from the hardware setup that I'm using. Andy, I'll leave that up to George to be content on his channel. I don't want to be spoiling anything that he has, so I will leave that to him. Yeah, and that thing's been running great. The 11 blade's cutting as smooth as can be. Putting green's really starting to try its best to fill in. It's still pretty thin, but I'm not worried about it. That's why it's creeping bent grass. It'll fill in. So got that. Managed to finish up the second mow of the week with the 21 inch, which boy, oh boy, does my front yard get very, very big when I'm cutting it with a 21 inch mower. Feels real small with that 48 inch Gravely, but whew, it very quickly turns a 20-minute project into a 45, 50-minute project up there. But that's all I had really to talk about. I brought up a little bit some of the equipment maintenance things. So I've mentioned before how lawn care has kind of driven me to become a little bit more handy, a little bit try to, yeah, this is actually brandy. It's a brandy old fashioned. So anybody else enjoying, I'm from Wisconsin, and this is basically our state beverage. But yeah, getting into kind of equipment maintenance, very simple stuff. I haven't really gotten too far ahead of myself. This valve adjustment that I did on the Gravely was by and large the scariest project I've undertaken for my level of comfort with that type of thing. That gives me a bunch of anxiety, then worry that I'm going to break it. And this time, unfortunately, my biggest fears came through, and I did kind of break it. But it was, yes, legitimately, you're at fault here. You're the reason why I broke my lawnmower. So yeah, where are you guys at? Everybody here. By the way, hold on. Things have gone funny over here. Let's see what we can do. So, of those of you that are here, what do you do? Do you do none of it? You just once a year you send your mowers, equipments, trimmers, etc. to your local handy folk and just get it handled and taken care of? Or do you do maybe the oil changes, spark plug, air filter yourself and leave any other repairs to yourself? Are you fixing everything on all the equipment you have? I'm curious because it's something I'm trying to learn and get better at. And this was the first time that it went sideways for me. So now all that anxiety and fear comes back, and I don't like it. Around the house with Pat. Hey, what's going on, man? Happy Sunday. Brad G, that's awesome, man. What, if you want to throw in a comment there, how'd you start? Are you smoking everything off, or do you have some either Bermuda or a bent that'll play at that height? What are you doing? Law engineer, that makes a lot of sense. I would have figured engineers have that knack for just learning and how to do everything, which bless YouTube, by the way, because like all of the stuff that I've figured out how to do myself, I've learned from YouTube, including this. But yeah, it's a fantastic resource. Like literally anything you want to do is on there. Yeah, the greens mowers are for sure a different beast. I think Toro and John Deere, I could have maybe attempted some fixes, but that Jacobsen, man, there was 1,000 bolts and a couple clutches standing between me and the repairs I needed to make. So it's like, nah, let's just take this thing will, if treated well, will last me the rest of my life. Let's send it to somebody who knows what they're doing and get it like it's brand new. And he does it yourself, cheaper and faster. Yeah, for sure. If it's something you can do, absolutely. I would 100%. I mean, I would recommend doing everything you can yourself. It's just getting over, if you're somebody like me, getting over that fear of breaking things. Oof. Around the House with Pat fixes everything. That seems like a pretty on-brand thing for somebody whose channel is Around the House with Pat. Yeah. By the way, Backwoods Lawn Care in the chat. If you're not subscribed to him, go subscribe to him right now. But he has like a golf course aerator, like one of those massive things that's hydro driven with spikes that'll drive like a foot into the ground. And he's got one of those things, so he's working on it. Hopefully you can get that thing running. That'll be awesome. Killed the bluegrass, tilled it last weekend, bringing in sand and then seeding bent. Nice, man. That's awesome. I would actually say when you bring the sand in, I might recommend tilling it again with the sand on it, because I know like true greens construction, you're going to dig down like 2 feet and backfill that with some rock and drainage, and then like 18 inches of root zone mix, which is the sand and dirt mixture. So it actually might be a decent idea when you bring in some sand to throw some down first and till that in with the dirt, just to kind of get that soil composition where it needs to be to drain okay for the top couple inches. And then, I don't know if you'd pack it in. I don't know, I'm no expert in this field, so I might be giving you bad advice, but kind of tamp that down a little. Obviously don't get carried away, and then top dress from there to something that's smooth. That might be kind of a fun way to get a decent, top couple inches of root zone mix for a putting green. Lawn Maverick taught myself how to hand file my blades this season. That's cool. That was another one. Like I never had an angle grinder, or would have been very, very afraid of taking the blades off a lawnmower for fear that I would put them back on wrong, and my blade would come flying off and kill me or my family. But I got an angle grinder to do that specifically, to sharpen my blades, and I love having that thing, and it's been awesome being able to do that myself. Okay, fair comment, Pat. And I think some of the people, I spent a couple summers working in factories, and that was a similar opinion of some engineers. I just know the only ones that I know and have experience with, like, know how to do literally everything. Nice, Andy. That's pretty fun. That's something I want to try, because I feel like then it's a lot. Oh, excuse me. Old fashioned's talking back. I feel like that's a lot more risk-free than working on the equipment that I need to function week in and week out. So I kind of keep an eye on Facebook Marketplace for like the $30 lawnmower that doesn't run or whatever, because then it's just risk-free to try to learn how to do that stuff. So that's cool that you got an opportunity to do something like that. Papa Moslow, what's up, man? Welcome. Connor X Dad, what's up, big guy? Cool. Sorry, I'm just catching up on chat. So what, got a new Facebook group I'm in that I think the Neighbor Dominator started, that they had a post today. Just what was everybody doing this weekend? So I've kind of been over the stuff that I was doing. A little cut on the putting green, cut on the yard. What was everybody else's project? A couple people have mentioned the things that they've done already. What's everybody been working on this weekend? I feel like that's the fun part of having a Sunday night show, is we can all just kind of chill and talk about the stuff that we did over the weekend. Also, Connor, by the way, saw the little kind of teaser video you did of your backyard, and that looks incredible back there. That's awesome. Hopefully you can get some time to get back into YouTube, because I feel like you got a cool little setup there. Mulch, I feel like that's gonna be everybody's project. I am so dang excited. For those of you who have followed along to, I think it's like Lawn Care 101 or Lawn Care for Beginners or something. You can reach out to him, or I don't know if he made me a moderator or somebody where I could invite people. If I can, I'll shoot you an invite, Vince. But for anybody that's followed along to the channel and kind of what I've been doing here is this property looked awful when we first moved in, hopelessly overgrown. So basically, for the 2.5 years that we've lived here, everything we've done is just ripping out plants and ripping out trees and cutting down trees and ripping out everything. And it's, although satisfying and has helped the property look a lot better, I am so excited to start putting landscaping back in this year. So I'm fortunate enough where my father-in-law is a landscape designer, so he's got a design, and hopefully we'll be getting that put in here this spring, which would be so nice. Nice. Andy picked up a new customer. Is that number 5 then? Or are you even doing better? I know you said you had 4 last week. Also, did you film that? I feel like that's how every lawn care company YouTube channel gets huge, is just, this lawn was so overgrown in the thumbnail, and it's just them cutting, a 2-foot tall yard for 30 minutes, and their channel gets huge. Putting in a full workday on the aerator. Nice. Get the is that an Pat, is that an irrigation system you installed yourself by chance? I have all the heads for my front yard, but I don't think that's a project I'm going to get to this year. It's another one of those things that scares me to do any sort of plumbing work and get that put in place. Root rot. Ugh. That's not ideal. What's up, Matt? Welcome. Appreciate you stopping by. I have a section so I don't know if anybody would have watched from this spring the video I did on raking and how bad my lawn looked when it came out of winter. And there was this section that was like all brown and just like goo, and it was so gross. And that section still looks kind of unhappy. I've fought disease problems on this property for pretty much since I started taking care of the lawn. The biggest issue I've fought is disease and incorrect application rate of herbicides, which that one's self-induced. But the disease has just punished me here. So I'm getting started early. Basically, the next time it's going to rain, I'm putting down Headway G, which is basically the LCN bulletproof strategy in a bag. Biosd impact today, nice. Okay, nice. Yeah, I feel like that's tough too if it's your first time at a customer's house to pull a camera out. May not be appreciated if you don't have that conversation beforehand. Nice. In terms of difficulty scale, Pat, this question for you, did you have, did you do the plumbing all the way from your water supply through all the valves, etc.? Because I think once you get into the valve box and then trenches out, that part of the project doesn't look very difficult. The difficult part that I think is getting the water to there and doing all the necessary plumbing and stuff. Germination in the side yard, nice. Spring seeding, it's just gonna work unless, you're in southern transition zone and you're trying to plant grass seed there, then it might struggle. But up here in the great up north and the further up north where you are, Backwoods, it just works. Yeah, I'm kind of trying to, my yard has a complete nutrient deficiency where I'm short in everything pretty much. And pH is a little bit high. So with soil testing and applications, I'm trying to address all that. So I'm sure a potassium deficiency isn't helping the disease issue, but I don't know why it's so bad. So yeah, it's going to be monthly Headway G for me this year to see if that keeps it under control. Nice. I'm going to guess in 2007, you don't have any how-to content out there for a helpless man like myself to follow along with? Oh, what else do we got going on? So with the putting green, I've come down now from last year. I ended the year at 3/8 with the McLean. And then in December, when I first got that Jacobsen, I mowed it a 1/4 inch. As I mentioned, when I first got on the live stream, the last 2 cuts have been at 0.175. I'll probably shoot for 3/16 here within the next week or two, which is like 1.156. And then I'm charging my way down to an 1/8 inch. The USGA says that putting green heights are at an 1/8 of an inch and lower. So you better believe I'm going to have a USGA spec putting green without USGA spec construction. And we're going to find out if that works. It might die. And that's fine. That's the beauty of homeowners. That's the beauty of DIY, is literally the worst thing that can happen is 500 square feet of my yard die. And you know what happens after that? We seed, we water, we start again. Because it's fine. There's nothing wrong. Killing your yard is not, it's not something to be afraid of. But I'm excited. Every ball that you put down there at an 1/8 of an inch might just roll straight off, but it'll be fun nonetheless. That's the beauty of spring too, is you get so much help from the rain. Although this year we're carrying forward the dryness of 2020 here in Wisconsin. I think we had 1 week where we got like 1.5 inches of rain over 3 or 4 days. And since then, in the last 10 to 14 days, if we've maybe got a 1/2 inch total, that's a lot, which that's kind of some content that I want to put out is, especially if you're in these northern places, Wisconsin, the Dakotas, Montana. Well, once you get into the mountains, it's probably different because that's desert, but Pacific Northwest, Northeast, these places where it rains all the time and it's never that hot. I feel like somewhere somebody needs to point to the fact that you absolutely do not need 1.5 inches of water every week. Last season, if I had 6 total weeks throughout the entire year, 6 to 8 weeks total, where it got 1.5 inches of water, that would have been a lot. I don't get anywhere near that kind of rainfall here. And again, I probably haven't had rain in 10 days. We got a snow that put down like 1/10 of an inch of water, 2/10 of an inch of water, and that's been about it for the last week and a half. Well, engineer, thanks, man. Have a good night. He's probably left already. I was a little behind in the chat there. But thanks for stopping by, Vince. Appreciate it. I feel like bent grass is like Bermuda. Like it just won't die. Yeah, Brad, the concern is it's pretty sloped back there, so I'm not certain that the ball will actually stay on the green. It's already starting to try and roll off at just under 3/16. And but granted, that's because it's largely dirt. I think once it fills in, it'll start to hold a little better. Nice, Pat. Just for the record, the last person that told me to just go out there and do a thing was Backwoods Lawn Care, and he told me to go out and do that valve adjustment, and it broke my mower. So just so we're clear on the type of person that I am. But yeah, I want to. Hey, what's up, Greg? Appreciate you stopping by. And yeah, man, what I have found out recently is there's actually, when you get into Instagram and YouTube, there's a lot more Wisconsin folk than I thought. I don't know if anybody follows Dan Balsbo on a lot of vowels in that last name, so it could be pronounced a lot of different ways. But he's from around me as well. Lake House Lawn Care. What's up, Kyle, man? Appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, and obviously, I'm when it comes to watering, I'm not referring to people in like the desert or places that are actually hot for a lot of the summer. They're going to need to water to keep cool season turf healthy. But like up here, I want an irrigation system just so that if and when I, the 5 times a year I do have to water, it's not such a miserable project. And like, pre-emergence, fertilizers, whatever that needs to get watered in, it's just much easier than taking a couple sprinklers and moving around the lawn all day. That's not fun. Nice. Yeah, for sure. Actually, I don't know if I'm subscribed to your channel, so I should do that. When we get off here, I'll do that. But yeah, let's see. What else can we talk about? I was over at George's house for Princess Cut Lawn Care, talking about bluegrass, and I've talked about this before. Bluegrass is a patience requiring turf type. So, but it will absolutely work for you. It becomes like the southern lawns. And I've talked about this before on these live streams, but my Kentucky bluegrass seeding from last fall is pretty spotty right now. Oh, nice. Yeah, there's a ton of resources, and I've watched videos on putting irrigation in, and plumbing doesn't appear to be that difficult. You just heat metal up, put 2 pieces of copper together, and let it melt into the fitting, but it's just scary. But anyway, and it's slow to wake up in the spring, which is miserable, and it's slow to germinate, and it's slow to do everything. But man, once it is alive and kicking, it will serve all of the purposes for you. It's going to fill in every hole, fill in every bare spot. You're really never going to have to seed again unless you have, a massive area kill off. If you leave, a pool cover on it or something. Although even then, it's probably going to come back. This stuff just, it looks so good. I know the rye stripes and the true green color of fescue have their place, and I'm not going to say I don't like those as well, but the color of the bluegrass in the front compared to anything else I have, just deep, deep, deep green, almost blue color. It's awesome. Yeah, and irrigation is always going to depend on where you're from. I'm from an area that generally, I think actually in a year we have as many or more days of precipitation than Seattle, which is synonymous with just raining all the time. We just get a ton of rain here. And even in the years when we don't, I maybe watered 5 or 6 times last year. Just the times when it was starting to stress out and it needed a little love. And that was all I did. Fine fescue. Interesting. Very few people you hear talking about having fine fescue, or the chewings fescues. I know almost literally nothing about any of those grass types because nobody has them. Nobody talks about it. Yeah, I feel like rye and fescue, turf type tall fescue, both have the color of grass that you would color in a yard as a kid, where it's just that perfectly true green. But there's something about bluegrass gets this really deep blue color. At least it does in my front yard, and it just looks fantastic. Interesting that it's the last to go dormant. I didn't pay much attention last fall. All of my turf stayed pretty well alive and kicking until the first snow started to fall. Also last year it was 50 degrees in December, so maybe not the greatest sample. Interesting. Yeah, I do think fescue is a little bit more heat tolerant. Creeping fescue. Yeah, those fine. That was one thing I did not know, that there were fine fescues that were used in fairways and greens at golf courses. That was something new I learned from the match play. Eric Watkins. All right. That's arguably something I need to start doing more, is finding and following these university folks. Because that's a lot of the science and aspect I don't know a lot of. Basically the entirety of that knowledge space I have is whatever I've picked up from John Perry and Matt Martin videos. Oh, that's funny. That is the one. Pretty much everything else about being on a well is worse, but that is the one good thing about being on a well is when it comes to watering. Like I had days last year where I started to work at 7:30, and just before I started working, I started an irrigation cycle, which is just me picking sprinklers up and moving them. But I went through all of that, and I'd be watering until 9-10 o'clock that night to get all of my yard watered with the half inch of water, because those rotator heads put down water so slow. Interesting. I don't know if I knew those crept. I assumed they functioned the same as all the other fescues, but were just finer and smaller. I didn't know they crept. Nice. Yeah, that's the one thing when it comes to creeping grass types. I'm really interested to see, because there are 5, 6, 7, 8 foot vacant spaces in where I put the fairway in, where it's just all weeds and there's very little, if no, grass in those sections. And I'm really interested to see how well grass fills that in, because I'm not seeding the fairway this year. I'm just cutting it at a half inch all season long, fertilizing it like I do the rest of my backyard, and just seeing what happens, and taking a picture every Tuesday of that section in the back, and then taking a picture every Wednesday of my bluegrass seeding to kind of have little time lapses and see how long it takes for those areas to fill in. Yeah, well, it hasn't run dry yet, but I did see that invoice when we bought the house, because it was brand new, put in. We made him do it when we bought the house, and it is not a cheap process to get done. Yeah, that's what I've seen. I know we talked about that you just hammer bent with nitrogen, and I've seen that on the green as well. Like I did. That was the other thing I did this week. I put 402 Flora Green and Humic 12 on just the putting green. I don't do anything to keep Brad, to your question, I don't do anything currently to keep the bent grass out of the KBG, because it's already there. So there's a pretty clear delineation line along. So there's where the putting green is, and then if you come back towards my house, there's like a clean line where the color changes and the look of the yard changes, and that's the transition between bent and KBG. And you can see little like lighter green areas all over the place where that's kind of crept in and taken over a bare spot. Not ideal, and it doesn't end up looking very good in the summer, but it kind of is what it is. I know one thing I found out, and I actually just had to buy, so I use my primary like broadleaf and other weed control of choice is Spectricide's weed control plus crabgrass preventer. And what I learned last year, and then looking at the label this year, is you cannot use quinclorac on the bent grass. That'll kill it. So I think if you use anything with quinclorac in it, that's gonna stunt that bent grass. Tenacity will also stunt it, and Fusilade will stunt it as well. Fusilade will crush it, but I also can only speak to Fusilade when using it at the wrong application rate, and then it kills everything. So if you want to do that, if you want to do 2 ounces per gallon of Fusilade 2 instead of, the teaspoon that's actually recommended, that'll do a good job of killing everything for you. Gotcha. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the biggest thing with sod. And I think I had conversations with my neighbor when they were seeding. So they seeded their whole yard last spring, which is a part of my like spring seeding, yes he can kind of video. And so basically they had 2019, that house was built. So it was just scraped clay exposed for all of 2019, just cooking in the sun all year. And then 2020 in like mid to late May, they brought in like an inch of topsoil and seeded. And then I think they did one overseed, and watered it to get it established, but didn't water all summer or anything. My neighbor's yard looks as good as anyone's around here. But anyway, I think where I started that is they were talking about sod and the fact that it doesn't look as good the next year, and everybody has issues with sod. But I think the reason everybody has issues with sod is everybody thinks they've got a yard. Somebody installed a yard for me, and I just leave it alone and it'll be fine. When no, you have to water that sod and get it to come in. So that makes a lot of sense that somebody brought in, that somebody made sure you had irrigation to sell you sod in July. Okay, Greg, that's good to know. I just know that mix I had on the putting green, which would have had quinclorac, mesotrione, and I think it's fluazafop in Fusilade, that combination just cooked the sections of the putting green that I put it on. But I think I feel like bentgrass is almost like Bermuda, where like you can really only kind of hope to stunt it, but it's just going to win in the end. It's not that same kind of alpha, but like its probably biggest weakness is its biggest strength, is it just takes over an area and just lays down and just smothers whatever is underneath it, next to it, as well as smothers itself. Yeah, Brad, to that point, so what I'm going to do is I am not a turf care professional. I am not a licensed greenskeeper or anything like that. So in terms of fertilizer plan, I wouldn't want to put something like that out there because I don't actually really know what I'm doing. What I actually am going to put out there and what I can speak to is I want to kind of go over my process. And so that'll probably be a video either this week or next week in terms of, so you have, you want a backyard putting green. So first of all, explaining to people what that means, is that just you want to have a section of your yard that you cut as low as your rotary mower can, and it just serves as a target for, you and your kids or whatever to hit chip shots to. And even when I was using the Great States set at a 1/2 inch, my son and I went out there and I put a tee in the ground and we putted. Is it a good surface to roll putts on? No. To a 6-year-old, does it matter? No, absolutely not. So it was a lot of fun. So that's something you can do. And then it kind of just becomes a target if you want to hit like chip shots onto it. And you can absolutely have something that's kind of cool like that with just a $80 or, Facebook Marketplace $20 lawnmower. And then you can graduate into something like a manual walk behind, a manual push mower that's got a couple more blades and it'll go a little bit lower. McLean, whatever that sweet thing Kenny Cooper has. There are a couple other companies that offer like more like greens level reel mowers that are just manual walk behind that are, $500-600 new rather than $3,000 or $12,000 for a greens mower. And then all the way up through, actually buying a used Greensmaster or John Deere and kind of what to expect then as well. The biggest thing is patience, right? Because I scalped my yard at July 1st of 2020. And, you're going to have to do a ton of top dressing work just little by little so you don't smother it out. I've done 5 top dresses now. This last one I did with an aerate as well, like a manual aerate, poking a bunch of holes and putting sand in there to top dress for a 5th time. So it's a lot of that. That thins everything out all the time. So it's still pretty thin. Even right now, granted, I have to keep reminding myself that it's April 25th because it was 75 degrees like April 3rd this year. And it's made my expectations where they shouldn't be. It's not even May yet, so we'll see what happens. But it's really just a matter of you got to temper your expectations if you're going to do a putting green in your backyard because, you didn't build a 24-inch, foundation of root zone mix for this thing. Survive in New Jersey? I don't see why not. Actually a great channel. If you want to go check out, there is a gentleman in Texas. His channel is Reel Turf, Reel Turf. He has a bent grass putting green that he has been maintaining, and a bent grass backyard actually, that he has been maintaining at, well, the putting green maintained at 3/16, 0.156, for a couple years now, and that's in Texas. So if that bent will survive in Texas, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to get it to survive in New Jersey. Spray on bent is 2,4-D pretty much, yeah. Started that way too. Nice. Do you have any idea what like year your Greensmaster is? Because I have that one from George that is only 2 years younger than myself. DI Yard, what's up, man? Thank you for stopping by. How's it going? Top dress of peat moss. Just because the soil was so bad, or why did you go with peat moss instead of something else? Because eventually that'll break down and kind of give you the same problem that you had before, I would imagine. Even with the sand, I think I've struggled with, since I'm on a slope there, having that kind of wash away on me a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of the problem with us normal humans when it comes to having greens mowers, is you're getting, in order to make it something that we can afford, it's got to be a million years old. A Jacobsen I think is fairly new. I mean, by fairly new, I mean it's probably from, sometime in the mid to late 2000s. But it's a Jacobsen, so it might as well be from 1990. Top dressing with peat moss is interesting. Did it do the thing that it does? Oh, sorry about that. That's probably loud to everyone. Did it do the thing that everybody's peat moss top dress does when they seed? Is it just the second that it even thinks about raining, it all washes into the lowest place, and then you don't have peat moss on your yard anymore? But even the sand I had has to some degree washed away. Also, I don't know if anybody else with short cut turf have just Superman worms, because every morning I look out and my putting green is like a mud pit with just worm castings. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I haven't had an issue with the sand yet, but again, I haven't really been through a summer with it yet, so we'll see what happens here this year when it comes. I have just one of the MP rotator heads that I had existing out there from my previous Ryan Knorr above ground sprinkler system, and one of those is just dedicated and set up on the green. If it starts to look like it needs a drink, I just connect the hose to it and give just the green a water. There are a ton, actually. There are a lot of greens mowers for sale right now. There's somebody somewhere in Illinois selling 5 or 6 of them for $750. There's the guy I bought my Jacobsen from, bought 4 John Deeres from a golf course and is selling those, I think, for $700. There's one from what looks like a small engine school or something that's selling a Greensmaster 1000 for $750. A couple people in the Minneapolis area that are selling them for $1,300. Yeah, man, Super T. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I have too much organic matter or what it is that has brought so many worms into that particular section of my yard. But I posted a picture of Instagram the other night when I watered. I went out there and the green was just covered in worms. If anybody wants to fish and do the old school, go out and get some night crawlers and bring them in, man, my putting green at about 9:30 in the evening, you're gonna have all you could ever hope for. Okay, I know that's what a lot of people have done, is either compost or peat moss or the sand soil mixes. I've been okay with sand to this point, but again, I haven't been through a summer yet, so I'll be able to speak with more authority here come August, September, when I've been through a summer with this and we see what happens. Backwards, I'm assuming that 80-20 is 80 sand and 20 soil. Because then, yeah, if the top 10 inches of your turf are 80% sand, that would make sense that it has some issue. Yeah, I mean, I know it's great for my yard, But the thing is, when the turf is 3/16 of an inch tall and that worm casting is a half inch tall, that it won't fill in because it's just constantly under this half inch layer of mud from all the worms. Yeah, if I was a fisher, I would, but worms are disgusting, and I'm not that type of outdoors person, and that's gross. So I'm not a big fisher, and I don't do any of that stuff. Oh, that's awesome. That'd be a great idea because yeah, I'm trying to think. A Roomba would almost be perfect for it because it has that, the like windmill, like those steel things that you use to get rocks out of your yard after you plowed all the rocks into it from your gravel driveway. That flap disc thing. I think the Roombas have that to pick up stuff. That would work perfectly for the worm castings if it didn't clog it up. And then you could just sell them all to Brian Mounts over at Turf Mechanic, and you'd be great. You'd be good to go. Just printing money. I let it dry out throughout the day, and I use my level rake in the afternoon before I cut, and that works out pretty well. You use especially in a small area like that, you just take the level rake over the top of everything, and it'd be great. No, not the front yard. The front yard's currently 2.5 on its way to 3.5 inch bluegrass. We're talking about shortcut turf, so the putting green out back, little Roomba for all the worm castings. Instead of the robot automated lawnmower, you need the robot automated worm casting sweep. But yeah, the only issue is, and that's the biggest frustration I have with the worm castings too, is with the putting green, that stuff is like glue. I don't know if anybody has really a lot of experience with that. Anybody in the chat has shortcut turf, but that stuff is literally glue. Where it just, the second a golf ball touches it, you have this 1/4 of an inch of mud that you got to wipe off, and you can't wipe it off with your hand, because if you wipe it off with your hand, you may as well have just stuck your hand in dog shit. Because it's not coming off. You're not gonna wipe it on your clothes. It's probably not coming off in the laundry. It's horrible. So you got to find the square inch of turf that isn't covered in worm castings. Wipe the golf ball off on that. Rinse, repeat. Oh, I'm upset with myself. I got to refill, but I don't have an ice cube down here. Maybe just be drinking warm old fashioned for the remainder of this live stream. What do you guys think? I'm trying to think. There eventually becomes a point in these where I kind of run out of stuff that I had to talk about. And I greatly appreciate, by the way, everybody in the chat right now. You guys are awesome. This has been another week where it's just been fantastic to talk to all of you in the chat. But I'm starting to think I would like to have some other people on just to keep a conversation going. So, yeah, I'd be considering, if people are interested going forward, if anybody wants to join me here Sunday night so we can just talk turf. Not going to be anything that's structured or intended to help anybody, but just you want to hop onto a Skype call or something, and I can figure out how to make that look pretty in a live stream window, and we can have ourselves a little conversation here on a Sunday night. Yeah, I feel like 1 inch, maybe even down to like a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch. You probably aren't going to fight worm castings much, but like once I got to 3/8 and below, like it's a problem. Right now it is a brandy old fashioned DI yard. Usually I am a whiskey old fashioned individual. But I've been waiting on Costco. Costco was out of their the Kirkland brand whiskey for a while, and they had Corbel. So I'm trying to drink up the brandy that I have before switching back to Grace. How's it going? Jamie the accountant, I've responded to some of your comments, but I don't think I've officially said hi and welcome. So hi and welcome. Thanks for stopping by. A worm farm. Lloyd Christmas work for you? I got worms. That's what we'll call it. Yeah, no White Claw today. I do need to get, I'm out of any beer at the moment, actually. I don't have any beer in the house. So I need to get some so I don't have to have White Claw on stream for everyone to make fun of me. Or I guess just myself to make fun of me. Nobody else actually made fun of me. It was just me. But yeah, I would love, I mean, anybody. I feel like 4 is the maximum that you would ever want in one time. Where I feel like if you have internet calls with more than 4 people, it just doesn't work. But I mean, I'd be happy to get something set up if some people want to come on and we just live stream this for, just people talking turf. I feel like everything else is kind of like there's always a point to it. And I'm just here. I want to talk to other lawn care nerds about lawn care because I don't have that outlet in my normal life. And I think it's cool to have it with all of you. Soul Boxer. I have not. I'm not really in... I'm not a straight booze kind of person. I acquired the taste for beer. I acquired the taste for coffee. I haven't gone through the pain and suffering of acquiring the taste for straight alcohol. So if that's something that's more expensive, I'm just in it for like a $20 giant bottle of whiskey, and I want to mix it with Sprite and something else. Yeah, PBR is my favorite cheap beer. Sorry if you can hear. I have the cable from my microphone going down between my legs, and I kick it every so often, so I'm sorry if you can hear that. No, the cold. Chris, I am in Milwaukee, just south of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I'm going through the same winters as you. I scalped down existing turf in my backyard that had some bent grass in it and overseed it with the cheapest available Amazon bent grass 2 times, and it survived the winter just fine. And we had a bad winter this last year too, so I wouldn't worry about it. The cold ain't gonna kill it. If you have golf courses, now I guess look at it this way: is there a golf course by you? That golf course suffers through that same winter, and that golf course still has a putting green next year. That's awesome. I'm 100% going to go look at the Worm Farm video. Oh, okay, gotcha. I have seen that. I have a mix that I'm using here currently that we just picked up yesterday at the grocery store. Something local, Meyer Brothers. There's a gentleman in the grocery store that my wife insisted on talking to. So we got a bottle of that. It's actually pretty good. So I'm glad she did. I do like Busch too. Busch is all right. Really just like the Millers and Coors I'm not a big fan of. Even Bud Light's fine. But just there's something about PBR I just seem to like more, and it's still cheap. Jamie, where are you out of? Are you like Connor Ward winter long? Where like he doesn't get to do anything lawn care related until June? Which, man, the anxiety that I get where I can usually not do lawn care until like early April when everybody else starts in February is high enough. I can't even imagine that guy having to suffer his way through June before he really gets to do anything. It'd be awful. I'd move. I wouldn't. I hate the climate here too, and I haven't moved because my family lives here. So let's be honest, I wouldn't leave. But that's tough. Look at this. Everybody coming in with the cheap beer selections. You gotta love that. Just the resource of everyone. It's fantastic. Minneapolis, okay. Yep. Slightly worse than what I endure. Oof. My ground was covered on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, somewhere around there. I had probably, oh gosh, I'm sorry guys. I had probably 1.5 inches of snow on the ground on Monday or Tuesday, but that's all long since melted. Today was cold. That's why I'm down in the basement studio instead of out on the patio, because I went out to try to hit some putts after my kids went to bed, and I was out there for maybe 5 minutes and I couldn't feel my hands. It's cold today. Yeah, I'm stuck here. If I didn't have any family, I'd move somewhere nicer, but I do often tell myself that the winters do kill all the scary bugs. so I don't have to deal with that. And I'm not a bug person, so yeah, for sure. Yep. Yeah, we're around there too. Usually for lawn journeys. What's up, man? Really, I will echo again. Really appreciate the Facebook convo you set up with the creators. That was awesome to be a part of, and I learned a ton from that. Yeah, Brad, I got I think like 83, 84 or something on Tuesday, which is hilarious because today was like 45. It's gonna freeze tonight, Sunday night, and then Tuesday it's 82. You know, that's every. That's every winter. I don't even know what I was talking about. Sorry, I had to delete that comment. Bermuda and South Carolina. The one thing is outside of like Brett with the Bermuda, that's in Florida, that's a short lawn care season. So you look at like Budget Lawns, Lawn Tools. Let's see. I'm just blanking on all of the Bermuda guys, but like I'm good right now in terms of my grass is growing. It's all green. It looks good. Like those Bermuda guys that aren't in like deep South Texas or Florida, they're a late start to their season too, and I would hate that. Across the lake in Michigan. Okay. That's perfect. That's the one thing I should start again. I should have done it last year, but I can't be in like any. I'd love to be in like a co-ed soccer league or golf league or something, volleyball, whatever it is. But I travel quite a bit for work, so I'd probably miss half the games. Yeah, I don't think I'll need a moderator. I can delete the one comment every so often. I'll get there though. What else? Anybody got any questions of me here? We're probably starting to reach the point where I've run out of stuff to talk about, and that usually means it's a good time to wrap up. Yeah, 34 in snow on Wednesday and 86 Tuesday. That's, yeah, every Midwest spring is just a roller coaster. It's either going to snow or be 80. I kind of chuckle at a lot of the people that are a little bit further south. That's like, it snowed and my grass is growing. Is it going to be bad? Like, nah, it does this literally every year here. Like every year, a grass wakes up and then gets covered by 3-4 inches of snow. Handicap right now, I don't play enough since I have had kids. I don't play enough golf to have an official handicap. If I had to guess, currently I'm about a 6. Back in high school when I played, high school and college when I was playing more often, I was usually floated between like 3 and 4.5, somewhere around there. Preventative fungicide, yes, I will be putting Headway G down. Once I get rain on the radar, I will be getting out in front of that and putting Headway G down on the whole yard. Thank you. Yeah, golf was one of the primary sports I played competitively growing up. I played golf and soccer, both at a fairly high level. I played low division. I made it onto the team in an NAIA school for soccer. And I actually my senior year at high school I took 20th and tied for 17th in the Wisconsin Division I golf tournament. So like I'm better than most people at both of those things, but a long way from like great. Yeah, DI Yard with the Headway G. For me, I was always doing the bulletproof strategy, which is Disease X, and then the Bio Advanced, which gets you azoxystrobin and propiconazole. And Headway G just comes with both of those in a granular, which I prefer granular anyway. So it just makes sense. And the Disease X and Bio Advanced are both $20 for 5,000 square feet. So all total to do the 10,000 square feet that the Headway G covers, it's exactly the same price. It's $80 for both. Yeah, as you guys have seen from my videos, I'm a very good ball striker, good golf swing. I hit the ball very well. Short game is hot garbage, and that's always been my downfall. Hit 7, 8 fairways, 11 or 12, 13 greens, and have 36 putts on my way to a 78, 80, somewhere around there. Yeah, I know golf's not for everyone. I love it. It's just my parents both played. It's what our vacations, we're going somewhere to go play. Every spring break, we'd go somewhere warm and go play, 5, 6 rounds of golf in a week somewhere. We had South Carolina, San Diego, Arizona, Arkansas for the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, South Carolina. That was always a ton of fun. Yeah, I mean, hobbies are hobbies. Like not everyone's gonna like everything. I think I said last week that baseball is a stupid sport, and I'm sure a lot of people disagree with that. So I'm not that old, man. I'm just bald. Although I guess if you're implying that I'm gonna need that much time until I turn, 55 or whatever it is for the senior tour, I'm only 33. Just very, very bald. That's funny. But yeah, I'm hopeful, and actually, as I've been filming, as I've been filming myself, like hitting putts and stuff, I can kind of highlight and see what I'm doing wrong. So there's been a couple of things that I'm working on, like to actually try and improve on the putting green, which is making me both better and worse. Like anytime you change anything, you get worse first. But I'm also like in trying to hit chips a little bit differently than I have for a lot of my life. So I actually like having the, like, I've said this before, and I'll probably always say it. I started the putting green as like a meme. Like I just didn't believe that it was going to be something that I was going to be able to accomplish or actually have be nice. But now that it actually is nice, I can't convey how truly fun it is and how much I absolutely love having that thing back there. It's so cool. Like to actually have a putting green that rolls, and it's not green speed, but like it is so cool to have that back there. And now that I'm keeping the fairway area as well to be able to hit from, it's awesome. During the season, I'm gonna plan on just doing it monthly. I have every year I've been here, 19 and 20, have really had disease issues. So I'm going to try to be way on top of it. I'll check the label for sure, but I think it's like 4 to 6 weeks you get out of a preventative rate. So I'm just going to plan on doing it once a month. Your oldest son probably has more hair. Yeah, no, I know. I just thought it was funny. I always like making fun of myself for the early onset male pattern baldness, just because, I don't know. I'm married and I have kids, and fairly happily married, so it's fine that I'm bald. If I was single, I'd be very upset. Okay. Yeah, the last couple of years I've been figuring like I probably have until June until the disease triangle comes in and it starts getting bad, and it's usually like early to mid May. I'm even seeing a little bit of issues out there already right now. Yeah, I can see backwoods. I do the same thing. I can see it out our kitchen window, and I just stand there and just look out into the backyard at my at the putting green. Like, man, I can't believe this is a thing that I've achieved in my backyard. All right. I think that's going to do it for me. It sounds cliche and everything, but honestly and truly, I appreciate every single one of you that's been here and commenting and, keeping this conversation alive for a little over an hour. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I might reach out to some people and see if this is something anybody else would want to be a part of, just to have a bit of a conversation to kind of keep going in between when we have conversations from the chat or like anything that I thought to talk about. So We'll see if you have some folks. I'm gonna guess maybe Backwoods would want to be in on something like that. Which I should probably learn your name, by the way, so I can stop calling you Backwoods Lawn Care. And I even know you've told me, but God, I'm bad with names. So yeah, I'll probably try to kind of get something like that. Grubbex too. Ooh. I'll have to look at. That's good to know that Costco's got Grubbex. I might have to get that. But yeah, so this is something I'm gonna plan on doing. I'm gonna try to do like scheduling the streams so that people know it's actually gonna be a thing that'll happen. And yeah, we'll see what we can do going on. Interval for the Headway G. The preventative bag rate covers 10,000 square feet for the bag. And I think it's like 4 to 6 weeks. They say you get protection. Ryan. All right. Perfect. I will forget that and have to ask again. So anyway, thank you so much. I absolutely appreciate every single one of you. And we will see you next time.